Are you sitting there, looking at your beautiful life, looking at the family you have loved and provided for, and feeling a heavy, nagging pit in your stomach? You have worked hard. You have built a magnificent nest egg. Maybe you own a successful family business, a portfolio of skyrocketing stocks, or real estate that has grown beyond your wildest dreams. You are a high net worth individual, and by all accounts, you have won the financial game. But instead of celebrating as you approach retirement, you are terrified. You are terrified because you look at the federal estate tax exemption laws and you see the storm on the horizon. The exemption limits are massive right now, but you know deep down that tax laws change like the weather. You realize that if you pass away with these highly appreciating assets inside your taxable estate, Uncle Sam could swoop in and take up to 40% of everything you spent a lifetime building. 40%! That is not just a number, that is your family's legacy. It is the money that should be going to your children, your grandchildren, or the charitable causes you hold dear. So you ask yourself the ultimate question: how on earth do I pass down this wealth, especially the massive future growth of my assets, without triggering a devastating gift or estate tax bill? How do I protect my family from being penalized for my success? Listen to me. There is a strategy used by the wealthiest families in America, from tech billionaires to real estate tycoons, and it is called a GRAT. That stands for a Grantor Retained Annuity Trust. I know it sounds like financial mumbo-jumbo. I know it sounds intimidating. But today, we are stripping away the jargon. I am going to explain exactly what a GRAT is, how it works, and why it might be the single most powerful shield you have to protect your family's future. Let's break down exactly how a GRAT works. Think of a GRAT as a financial moving truck. You take a highly appreciating asset, let's say it's stock in a fast-growing company currently worth $10 million, and you place it inside this irrevocable trust. Now, because it is a Grantor Retained Annuity Trust, you are not just giving this money away and walking away empty-handed. No! You retain the right to receive an annual annuity payment from the trust for a set term of years, usually anywhere from 2 to 10 years. The IRS looks at this and says, all right, you put $10 million into a trust, but we are going to calculate how much the trust is going to pay you back over the next few years. To do this, the IRS uses a specific hurdle rate, known as the Section 7520 rate. This rate is essentially the IRS's way of saying, we assume this asset is going to grow at this specific, conservative interest rate. Now here is where the magic happens, the zeroed-out GRAT. Your estate planning attorney structures the trust so that the total value of the annual annuity payments you receive back over the term equals exactly $10 million plus that IRS hurdle rate interest. Because the math says you are getting back everything you put in plus the required interest, the IRS looks at the remainder value, what is left over for your heirs, and values that gift at exactly $0. You have made a transfer, but for gift tax purposes, the taxable value is 0. You don't owe a dime in gift tax, and you haven't touched a single penny of your lifetime gift tax exemption. But what happens if that $10 million asset doesn't just grow at the low IRS hurdle rate? What if it skyrockets? What if it grows by 15% or 20% a year because it's a booming business or a phenomenal stock portfolio? At the end of the trust term, you have received your original $10 million back plus the required hurdle rate interest. But all of that extra growth, the millions of dollars in massive appreciation, is left sitting right there in the trust. And guess where it goes? It passes directly to your children or a trust for their benefit, completely free of federal gift and estate taxes. It completely bypasses the IRS. Let's look at a real-world example so you can see the numbers. Suppose you fund a 2-year GRAT with $10 million worth of stock. Let's assume the IRS hurdle rate is around 4.5%. The trust is set up to pay you back roughly $5.3 million in year 1 and another $5.3 million in year 2. That satisfies the IRS. But let's say this stock hits a home run and appreciates at a whopping 12% per year. After the trust pays you your final annuity in year 2, there is over $1.5 million left over in that trust. Because you zeroed out the GRAT at the beginning, that $1.5 million is transferred to your children entirely tax-free. If that asset had stayed in your personal estate, that $1.5 million would eventually face a 40% estate tax, meaning your kids would lose $600,000 straight to the government. With the GRAT, they keep every single penny. Now, you might be wondering, Susie, what's the catch? This sounds too good to be true. I always tell you to look at the risks, and with a GRAT, there is one major risk you must understand: mortality risk. To reap these incredible tax savings, you must survive the term of the GRAT. If you set up a 5-year GRAT and you tragically pass away in year 4, the strategy fails. The second risk is performance risk. What if you put an asset in the trust and it goes down in value or fails to beat the IRS hurdle rate? If the asset underperforms, the trust simply uses up its funds trying to pay you back your required annual annuity. At the end of the term, the trust hits zero, and there is nothing left over to give to your kids. But here is the beautiful thing. So, what is your actionable takeaway today? If you are a high net worth individual, if you have assets that you expect to grow significantly over the next few years, and if you want to ensure that growth goes to your kids rather than the government, you need to act. Do not sit on your hands. Bring up the Grantor Retained Annuity Trust with a qualified, experienced estate planning attorney. Ask them if your specific portfolio is a good candidate for a zeroed out or a rolling GRAT structure. Your wealth is a reflection of your hard work, your discipline, and your dreams for your family. Protect it. Shield it from unnecessary taxes. Take control of your legacy today, because true financial security is knowing that what you build will bless the people you love for generations to come.